In his 21 years on the force, Krolak has never worked with a psychic, and he's skeptical. He runs a background check on Noreen.
With the news articles, there was a name of a Bronx homicide commander who had used her before. I contacted him, and he advised me that Noreen was credible. I contacted Noreen by telephone. I didn't give her much information, just told her it was a homicide, a double homicide, and Jake and Dora's name. She requested that we send her some items of the victims. Noreen's description of the crime scene appeared to me like she was reading right from the case file. It was so accurate, especially when she had described Dora being on a telephone at the time of the shooting. I mean, nobody knew that.
By the end of the session, Noreen starts closing in on the killer.
When she was doing her readings, she had brought out a point that she felt the killer was at the Cohen's house and had eaten there on a few occasions. Noreen also advised that the killer had done some work or was going to do some work in the Cohen's house. That tells you that the killer knows the Cohens. Cohens know the killer.
Krolak wants the psychic to look at a photographic lineup with 10 suspects in it.
Noreen, I brought down some photographs for you to look at and see if you get any sense or any feeling about any of these people in these photographs. And I'll put them out on the table.
No, I don't want to see them. Put them face down,
okay.
Please.
Okay.
As she touches the backs of the photos, Noreen feels the energy and visualizes the crime again. Without ever seeing the faces on the front, Noreen immediately eliminates 7 photos. She focuses in on the remaining 3. She is looking for the face of a killer. Krolak is astounded as Noreen, using only her psychic powers, finally reveals the face underneath. It is Robert Skinner, the man who has been a suspect all along.
This one, I feel, was the shooter. I think he was the one that killed Jake and Dora.
Her second pick is Keith Snare, Skinner's associate.
This man, I believe, was there at the scene of the crime.
I was definitely surprised. The odds of doing that, unbelievable.
But Noreen is not finished. There is a third face, another conspirator. And it is a face that investigators have seen before. It is Jimmy Mariani, the troubled grandson of the murdered couple. He'd been questioned in the first days of the investigation, but had a watertight alibi.
And this man planned it.
Noreen Renier believes that Jimmy Mariani hired Skinner and Snare to rob his grandparents while he established an airtight alibi. Then, the robbery went terribly wrong. It's a plausible story, but Krolak needs facts.
Well, you know, these 3 all have pretty good alibis. Is there anything else you can tell me to help me out there?
You've got to go back and check the alibis of these 2 men.
A surprise witness named Mark Tora comes forward with some devastating testimony. He was supposed to be the 4th man on the deal and tells the court everything he knows about the other men's involvement. It's the final nail in the coffin for the defendants. For the murders of Jake and Dora Cohn, Skinner gets 62 years, while Snare and Mariani receive 40 years behind bars.
Sometimes people ask me how many crimes or how many cases I've solved, and I always tell them I don't solve crimes, the police do. I'm just used as an investigative tool.
Although Noreen was beneficial, this case was solved by a lot of hard work by a lot of dedicated detectives.